So yesterday I released a video which was basically the antithesis of this one. So if you're here anticipating an intro, just go back, watch that one, replace a handful of words, switch them around, and you're good to go. And then come back here as we move on to 7 legendary footballing moments that people underrate. Let's roll on. Number 7, Ronnie's response to reporters in Rome. Place, Stadio Olimpico, Rome. Date, 17th February 2016. Incident, Cristiano Ronaldo breaks the deadlock in the first leg of a UCL tie. Why is it underrated? Well, my friends, this was the moment that truly launched the three-peat. Because you see, because it was such a short period of time and due to his success since that time, most people forget, but Zizou during his first couple of months in Madrid wasn't all that convincing. Because while he did blow the smaller teams at home like they always do, when given somewhat of a tough task away like Betis, Granada or Malaga, Real struggled to get results. And then to top all that, his marquee player was being targeted by the media more so than he had ever been before. And if you remember, he famously walked out of the press conference the night before the game against Roma when he was questioned about his away form. And no, this bitch fit wasn't the response I was referring to in my alliteration, because that would be what happened in the actual game itself, with his manager facing his first real test and he himself being in the eye of the storm as he so often is. Ronaldo turned in one of his best all-round performances that season, culminating in him slipping in behind Florenzi and firing a deflected shot into the top corner. And from that moment on in the Champions League, it didn't matter how many times they stumbled, how many times they were questioned. They knew they could rise above each and every time, and rise above each and every time they did. Number 6, Messi mesmerizes the masses with his mazy magic versus Bilbao. Place, the Nou Camp Stadium, Barcelona. Date, 30th of May 2015. Incident, Lionel Messi scores arguably the greatest goal of his career in the Copa del Rey final. Why is it underrated? Well, in case you didn't hear me, this guy scored this goal in a motherfucking final. This goal. And no f off, I don't care if it was the Copa del Rey final, okay? Like, bro, genuinely, if he was playing in his local estate pitches and did this, it would still be f***ing unbelievable. But he did it in a f***ing final. And still, this somehow doesn't get talked about as much as Gareth Bale's goal from the previous year. Hey, listen, I love Gaz, and yes, his goal was sweeter and involved much more impressive feats of athleticism, but when judging purely as a goal, there's no competition whatsoever. Just look at his fucking starting position. This was fake, fam. Number 5, Reyes' redemption and rescue of Real. Rest in peace. Place, Santiago Bernabeu, Madrid. Date, 17th of June 2007. Incident, Jose Antonio Reyes comes off the bench to knock in a double and secure La Liga for Real on the final day. Why is it underrated? This was quite fittingly an epic finish to one of the greatest title races in history. Man, I'm actually amazed this doesn't get talked about more often. And look, if you don't know about this, just look up La Liga title race 06-07. Well, if you can't be f***ed to do that either, well, here's a clip of me giving somewhat of a summary in my very own special way. From Real being 4th in January, to Bex being berated by his bulky boss and boldly told he'll never be able to bowl for the Blancos in the Bernabeu again, to Barcelona's beat of bad results, to Capello being in desperation and recalling Bex, to Real's return to form, to Bex's mid-season injury, to Real going out of form once again, to Bex's second return, to Real's subsequent streak, to Messi's handoff, Jesus, search it up, to Van Nistelrooy's Pichichi winning campaign, to the late Jose Antonio Reyes' final day heroics, to Madrid's historic 30th. So this is how everything you just heard made this moment even sweeter. So yeah, as you heard, Bex was first dropped by Fabio Capello and then altogether frozen out after he agreed terms with LA Galaxy. The man who took his place? Jose Antonio Reyes. However, while he was doing well, the team was not. So of course, Bex was soon recalled. But then in the final day against Mallorca, where Real needed to match Barca's result, who of course were cruising away at Gimnastic, Real not only fell behind, but they lost their main centre forward and La Liga top scorer Ruud van Nistelrooy in the first half due to injury. And then to make things worse, they then went on to lose the man who spearheaded this resurgence in the second half of the season, also due to injury. And as it stood, things just seemed to be going from bad to worse. But then enter the saviour, as the man who'd been Beck's replacement for a lot of that season replaced him one more time and dragged Real to the finish line. And this is the strange thing about it, because not only did Beck's complete his own redemption story by getting back to the team, benching Reyes, and becoming Real's best player in the business end of the season, but then this allowed Reyes to also complete his own redemption story by replacing Beck's in the final 20 minutes. It's a lot more simpler than it sounds, and I'm sure in the end they were both happy either way. And yeah man, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I miss those days. Number 4, CR7's historic heroics for his home side versus Hungary. Place, Olympic Lyon Stadium, Lyon. Date, 22nd of June 2016. Incident, Ronaldo's 2 goals and 1 assist lead Portugal to come back 3 times against Hungary, keeping them in Euro 2016. Why is it underrated? Well, there are 2 types of answers for this. Short answer, this guy practically single-handedly kept his country in a competition they'd eventually go on to win. Long answer? Well, basically, you remember Messi versus Mexico? Well, this was kinda like that, but, you know, miles better. You know what? Scratch that. Forget comparing these two for a second. Instead, let's just stick to comparing Ronaldo to Ronaldo. And no, not this one. I actually mean compare CR7 to himself. So you all remember Ronnie's hat-trick in the World Cup against Spain, right? That still gets mentioned quite a bit. Well, not only was this significantly better than his performance against Spain in the World Cup, but it turned out to be significantly more important too. And yet, barely anyone brings it up now. Like hell, even his header against Wales in the semis gets spoken about more. Like hell, f***ing hell, even his clowning around in the final gets spoken about more than this. But bro, none of this would have been possible without his performance that day. Because with this very much mediocre Portuguese side down and out, with Ronaldo himself coming off a penalty miss in the previous game, with Portugal's survival chances in the balance, their captain goes out and drags his country to the knockout stages. 1 world-class assist, followed by an even better goal, followed by a trademark header. And because of this and this only, Ronnie and co were then given the chance to march on in the tournament and bring home the first trophy in the country's history. And that's the thing, G. He changed the course of Portuguese history that day, and he did it in style. Number 3, Jasper Grønkjær changes the course of Chelsea history. Place, Stamford Bridge, London. Date, 11th of May 2003. Incident, Chelsea edged past their near future bitter rivals Liverpool to win 2-1 and change the fortune of the club forever. Why is it underrated? Well, money. Let me explain. So this is something that may be a little bit hard to believe for the younger fans, but Chelsea weren't always this oil-filled financial powerhouse. In fact, by 2003, the club were in debt of around £80 million, with the future of a number of players, including Mr. Captain Leader Legend here, in serious doubt. And in all honesty, they needed Champions League football for the revenue more than anything. However, having not been in the competition for 4 years and having one of Europe's most successful clubs as an obstacle, they weren't exactly favourites going into the final day showdown, which they had to win. But then following an opening 30 minutes which included all of the 3 goals, Chelsea held on to a 2-1 lead for the next hour or so, sealing a European spot for the following season. And that, my friends, isn't even why it's underrated. Nope. Because what happens just a mere few weeks after that game? Chelsea are brought by Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich. Status of the course of history updated to changed. Number 2, Mark Robins changes the course of Manchester United history. Place, the City Ground, Nottingham. Date, 7th January 1990. Incident, Mark Robins heads in Mark Hughes' Trivella to give Manchester United the win over Nottingham Forest. Why is it underrated? It basically saved Fergie's job. Yup, this is also something that will probably sound unbelievable to the younger fans, but Sir Alex Ferguson was this close to getting canned from United. Just imagine if he did. So as the story goes, after taking over United in November of '86, Sir Alex in his first 2 or 3 years was heavily struggling. He went trophyless, averaged a league possession of 7th to 8th, and went on a run in the beginning of the 89-90 season where they, no lie, lost 6 games and drew 2. And understandably so, some of the United faithful were demanding Fergie be sacked. And it seemingly was about to get even worse when United were drawn away to inform Nottingham Forest in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. But then, one somewhat of a scrappy goal later, the tides, albeit slowly, began to turn, as from there United went on to win the FA Cup, giving Sir Alex Ferguson his very first trophy with the Reds, thus truly setting him on his way. Life works in mysterious ways sometimes. And number 1, Beckham's Revenge. Place, the Sapporo Dome, Sapporo. Date, 7th of June 2002. Incident, David Beckham smashes in a penalty, wins England the game against Argentina in the 2002 World Cup. Why is it underrated? Because this, and not the free kick against Greece, was the defining moment of David Beckham's career. And how was this barely covered in the docu-series? Like, come on man, this was legit like a Hollywood script brought to life. Just think about it this way. Exactly 4 years after being sent off and vilified, abused, and basically cancelled because of it, you are back on the world stage, opposite Simeone, opposite Argentina, but now captaining your country. And following Pochettino's foreshadowing of him being a Spurs recruit when he bottled it and brought down Michael Owen, you now have a chance to not only put your country ahead against their bitter rivals, but symbolically put a full stop to 4 years of trauma. But also, let's not forget, all this happened amidst the mayhem with the main man's Matatarso, which mind me if I seem like I'm mimicking Matt Letizia, but surely it can't be a coincidence that an Argentinian did this. Bro, I know I just said that this was like a Hollywood script come to life, but come to think of it, even Hollywood would have probably turned this down for being too hokey. Real talk. But yeah, anyways man, this is a moment that, despite still being covered a fair amount, is still severely underrated. I mean, that should tell you just how vital it was, if nothing else. And to top all of it off, it was the very first game I ever watched. The memories remain. And that is that. Agree or disagree? Beats indifference. What do you think of this list? Are there any legendary footballing moments that are underrated which I missed out? Let me know in the comments below. And as usual, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Till next time, you keep rolling.